When you do one of these, you get, it actually scrapes a layer of the lead and the lead sulfate off, and it leaves it with a nice and shiny surface. I used to think these were the stupidest things in the world, because every time you clean your battery, you take away a big chunk of the battery post. And if you clean your battery very often, what happens to the post? Does it grow lead again? Doesn't. So what happens to my post? It gets real small and real small. Pretty soon, the stupid battery cable doesn't fit on there anymore. So you pretty much have to throw it away, or you have to crush your battery cable to get it on there. So I used to use one of these. What I found is, if your battery post is not perfectly round, and it has little pits in it because it's arced and done some bad things, when I use one of these terminal cleaners, what the wire brushes do is they follow the contour of my battery post. They don't remove an excessive high amount of lead, but they only clean what's there. And if I have a pit, it cleans the pit and goes on. When I take my battery post and I stick my battery cable back on, what does it do when it goes over that hole that's in there?
Fills up again.
That hole cannot make contact, so electricity doesn't flow. It's a pocket, acid gets in there, it starts corroding, and it causes a problem. And you're not conducting any electricity in that area, so the rest of the surface area has to conduct all the amperage that I need for my battery. And that is a lot of amperage. A typical starter is going to draw, a small engine type starter is going to draw about 100 amps. Your cars draw about 200 to 400 amps. A diesel pickup is going to draw between 400 and 800 amps. It's a lot of amperage going through a small surface area. And 1 amp is 6.2 billion electrons. It's like a number about this long if I typed it across the screen here. And so if that's 1 amp and I multiply that by 400 amps, it's a lot of electrons passing through here. And what's going to happen is I'm going to have little arcing take place. It's going to melt down. I'm going to melt my post away. So even though I'm going to take a large amount of lead off, if you use this consistently, you should only have to take a real thin layer off. It's when you have pits that you have to really work at it and work it down to get all the pits out. But if you don't get the pits out, the problem will compound itself. This piece of this tool is designed for the battery cable. This is a positive side and this is a negative side. That's why this one looks the way it does. This is just another tool like it. It's just a different manufacturer. If you've got side posts, they have a special tool for side posts. The little wire that sticks out cleans the threads of the bolt, and this part here cleans the flat plate that's on there. So you stick it in there and you clean it. Side post batteries don't corrode nearly as bad or nearly as fast as top post batteries, but they do. And what happens is they got a rubber cap that covers them. You can't see that they're corroded, and they get lead sulfate in there and they lose contact. When you start your battery or start your engine, there's enough amperage draw that it will jump the gap and start your battery, but your alternator, since it's charging at a lower rate, cannot jump it back and actually charge it. So your battery just keeps getting discharged, discharged, discharged. Then you get in there and you try to start it and it won't start. Clean the terminal, stick it back on, and you can start the thing up, even without charging it. And so there are instances that happens. It happens quite a bit. But that's what this terminal cleaner is for that style. This is another one of those for side terminals. You can clean them up. When your battery is discharging, in a normal operation, discharging and charging, it's giving off hydrogen gas, gives off oxygen. That oxygen floats and leaves the battery. The only thing that leaves your battery in a normal operation is water. You lose hydrogen, you lose oxygen, that's water. You never lose the ferric acid. And so if you have a battery that's low on fluid, the only thing you ever add is water. You never add electrolyte solution. If you add more electrolyte because it's low in fluid, your battery will actually react too much. It will overcharge and it will boil over all the time. You can't figure out why it's always boiling. It overworks your alternator and will ruin your alternator and your charging system. So don't use that.